Tyler Betsey is a low-risk, high-reward move for Syracuse basketball.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Of course, we are always free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And shout out to every one of you who continue to subscribe to Locked On Syracuse each and every day. And folks, I hope you had those notifications turned on for this Saturday afternoon podcast. And the reason why I'm recording on Saturday afternoon is because the Orange yesterday evening picked up its sixth transfer portal commit of this offseason. That's right, I'm talking about Syracuse basketball, of course. They get former Cincinnati forward Tyler Betsey. On today's show, we'll talk about what Syracuse basketball still needs this offseason. We'll also discuss the frontcourt rotation now with Tyler Betsey in the fold. And we'll start off the podcast talking specifically about Tyler Betsey and why this is ultimately a low-risk, high-reward move for Syracuse basketball. All that and more here on this edition of Locked On Syracuse. So Tyler Betsey is 6'8", 225 pounds. He comes from the Cincinnati Bearcats, and he has 3 more years of college eligibility remaining. He is a former top 50 overall recruit in the country in the 2024 recruiting cycle. So it's not too long ago that Tyler Betsey was regarded as one of the better high school players in the country. And he joins fellow transfers Nathan George from Georgia Tech. You got Nate Kingz from Oregon State, William Kyle from UCLA, Ibrahim Soare from Georgia Tech, and Bryce Zephyr from Montana State. It has been a very busy and active offseason for Syracuse basketball. Let's go over the numbers of Tyler Betsey. He was a true freshman this past season. He played in 34 games for Cincinnati. He only averaged about 11 minutes per game. So he averaged a little over 3 points, 1.5 rebounds. He shot 36% from the field, 32% from the three-point line, and only 54% from the free throw line. He had an Evan Maya defensive rating of 0.47. For those that don't understand what that means, it means that there are 9 average Division I players on the court, and Tyler Betsey is the 10th player. The team that has Tyler Betsey on it would be about a half point better defensively per 100 possessions. And there is one big pro of this move and one big con of this move, and why I ultimately believe this is just a low-risk, high-reward signing for Syracuse basketball. The big pro of Tyler Betsey is that he's young and talented. He's got 3 more years of college eligibility remaining. He was a consensus 4-star recruit in the 2024 recruiting cycle. That means there's talent there and there's upside there, right? And scouting reports from high school suggest that he's a really good shooter and he's got untapped potential on the defensive end. So this really is, based on that profile and how recent that scouting report is, this is a low-risk, high-reward move where he comes in Syracuse. He's going to have the opportunity to develop over the offseason, and hopefully it pays off big time for Syracuse basketball. That's the optimistic way of looking at this. But there's also one big negative here, and it kind of goes in line with the amount of years of eligibility that Tyler Betsey has with Syracuse now. We don't have the luxury of time. See, Syracuse basketball is entering a make or break season. If they win and they go to the NCAA tournament, fantastic. Syracuse basketball achieves its goal. Finally, we'd all be thrilled. Unless, of course, you are a trolling UConn or Georgetown fan that found this podcast. But if you're a Syracuse fan like myself, or a Syracuse alum like myself, you want Syracuse to make the tournament, and that would be awesome for the Orange. They achieved the goal. That means that the coaches are coming back for another year, and it also means that the players with eligibility are probably going to be more inclined to come back. So a guy like Tyler Betsey, who at that point would only have 2 more years of eligibility, well, maybe he stays with Syracuse basketball, right? But if they lose, really, if they just don't make the NCAA tournament, then here's what's going to happen. The whole coaching staff is probably going to get fired. And with that happening, most of the players, if not all of the players with eligibility, are going to go out the door as well. That's just what happens in college basketball. When you let go of your head coach, the players with eligibility usually follow suit. They don't necessarily follow that coach to a different school, but they just enter the transfer portal and look for a fresh start elsewhere because they don't know who's coming in to be the head coach. And even the new head coach comes in and says, hey, we don't really want this player, or this player doesn't fit what I want to do. So it's really a make or break season. So Syracuse basketball does not have the luxury of time for Tyler Betsey to develop here. So it's nice that he's got 3 more years of eligibility and he's got this upside. He's going to have to develop pretty quickly for Syracuse basketball. And is he good right now? Is he good right now? Well, I gave you the numbers at the top of the segment. And regardless of how you feel about the move, you can't tell me that those numbers are really impressive. 3 points a game, 1.5 rebounds in about 11 minutes at Cincinnati. I mean, that's not great. I get he was a true freshman, but again, they don't have the luxury of time. How good is Tyler Betsey right now for Syracuse basketball? He started well last season. In his first 11 games in the non-conference play, he shot 40% from the three-point line in about 3 attempts per game, actually over 3 attempts per game. So he got off to a really good start from beyond the arc. But then when conference play hit, when you play against those tougher opponents, he only shot 27% from the three-point line. He also last season did not have a single game where he scored at least 10 points. So it all boils down to this with Tyler Betsey in Syracuse basketball. If he develops significantly, which is a big if, but if Tyler Betsey develops significantly, then this is the type of move that could move the needle in a positive direction for Syracuse basketball as far as making or missing the NCAA tournament. Like, that's if he develops. That's the optimistic way of looking at it. But if he really doesn't develop all that much, well, then Syracuse basketball is going to have to rely more on its other players and its coaching staff, really, to make the NCAA tournament. And if they don't make the NCAA tournament, we already went over what happens. And we never really get to see if Tyler Betsey lives up to the potential or not, because he'd probably be out the door anyway, just like probably everyone else. So does he make Syracuse basketball better? He could. He could make Syracuse better, and we'll talk about the fit in the front court rotation in just a moment, but it really boils down to how much or how big of a step does he take next season? How good is he right now for Syracuse? Not what is he going to be in 2 years for Syracuse, because you really only got to be thinking about this year, which is, again, make or break for Syracuse basketball. I want to hear from you in the comments section below. Do you think Tyler Betsey gets Syracuse basketball closer to the NCAA tournament? Comment your thoughts in the comment section below. Coming up, we'll talk about the front court rotation for the Orange this upcoming year. So stick with me here on Locked On Syracuse. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of still professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. This is Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and once again, Syracuse basketball picked up its 6th transfer portal commit of this offseason on Friday evening. They get former Cincinnati Bearcats forward Tyler Betsey. And we just talked about Tyler Betsey's stats and why this is ultimately a low-risk, potentially high-reward move for Syracuse basketball. Let's get into the updated front court rotation with Tyler Betsey in the fold. First and foremost, what position is Tyler Betsey? It appears that he is a small forward. So where does he slot in to the Orange's rotation? Well, as of right now, I project him to be the backup small forward. The starting small forward, in my opinion, is Nate Kingz, the Oregon State transfer from earlier this offseason. He started 31 games for the Beavers a year ago. He averaged about 12 points a game, which is pretty good. And more importantly, Nate Kingz shot 45% from the three-point line a year ago. 45%. What have I been saying about Nate Kingz this entire offseason? 3 words. He can shoot. The way I look at Nate Kingz is this is potentially a better version of Chris Bell, because Chris Bell entered last year as the starting small forward, and he was the starting small forward a year before that as well. Now it's Nate Kingz, 45% from the three-point line, which is better than Chris Bell, actually. And hopefully he's a little bit better defensively and can provide more of an all-around game than Chris Bell. As of right now, I think Nate Kingz is your starting small forward for Syracuse basketball. And that means that Tyler Betsey is the backup small forward to Nate Kingz. I don't think it's impossible that Tyler Betsey at some point during the year becomes the starting small forward, even with Nate Kingz healthy. The reason why I say this is because we talked about earlier how Tyler Betsey has untapped potential. So the quicker he realizes his potential or grows into it, the quicker maybe he gets into Syracuse's starting lineup. And by the way, if he can crack Syracuse's starting lineup, that's probably a really good thing for Syracuse because it increases your top end talent. And also, with Nate Kingz coming off the bench, that gives Syracuse even more depth. But as of right now, I cannot put Tyler Betsey in the starting lineup as the starting small forward ahead of Nate Kingz, who shot nearly 45% from the three-point line a year ago. Again, it's not impossible that he cracks the starting lineup even when both are healthy. But as of right now, he is the backup small forward, in my opinion, for this team. It's also possible that he sees the floor as a power forward in small ball lineups. Like, you could see Tyler Betsey as the 4, Donnie Freeman maybe as the 5 for a little bit. Nate Kingz remains in there as a 3. Like, that could be a lineup combination that Adrian Autry uses throughout the year. Your starting power forward. Speaking of Donnie Freeman, that's probably where he's going to play, at least to start the season. He's a returning sophomore. Last year, he averaged 13 and 8. That's pretty damn good for a true freshman. He's going to be in the starting lineup. And really, I think a lot of this season is going to boil down to how much of a step forward does Donnie Freeman take? If he takes a significant step forward, that increases Syracuse's odds of making the NCAA tournament. If he becomes like an All-American caliber player or even first-team All-ACC, that's going to lead to even more victories for Syracuse, which again increases their odds of making the NCAA tournament. If he kind of stays the same or maybe only marginally improves, that doesn't really help Syracuse's tournament chances as far as from last year and this year. I think the good part about it, though, is knock on wood, he's healthy. So hopefully he could stay healthy for an entire year. And if he's healthy for an entire year, you probably get 1 or 2 more wins, even if he plateaus. Right? But he's going to be your starting power forward. Your backup power forward is Sadiq White, a high-end 4-star recruit, a borderline top 30 overall player in the 2025 recruiting cycle. He is known as one of the best defenders in this high school recruiting class. That being said, if Sadiq White looks amazing early on, I could see him in the starting lineup. Not ahead of Donnie Freeman, but where Donnie Freeman and Sadiq White are both in Syracuse's starting lineup, because we're about to talk about the center position. I don't think either center for Syracuse right now has a very long leash. So let's get right into it. You got William Kyle from UCLA. He was the first transfer portal addition for Syracuse this offseason. And you got Ibrahim Soare probably backing up William Kyle from Georgia Tech. Here's the deal with Kyle and also Soare as well. Kyle is likely going to be the starting center. But like I said earlier, I don't think he has this super long leash here. Neither does Soare. So if Betsey maybe develops, or Sadiq White looks really awesome right away, or Kyan Anthony looks really awesome right away, and you need to give those players more minutes, that could take time away from Syracuse's centers, which are William Kyle and Ibrahim Soare. So you could potentially see a lineup combination that looks like this. You got Nathan George as your starting point guard, Kyan Anthony as your starting 2 guard, Nate Kingz, your starting small forward, Sadiq White, your starting power forward, and that would leave Donnie Freeman as your starting center. You can say I'm nuts and I'm crazy all you want, but if those guys look really amazing right away, perhaps that's the best lineup for Syracuse, right? And they don't necessarily play with a true starting center. Comment your thoughts in the comment section below. Where do you see Tyler Betsey fitting in to Syracuse's lineup? Now, coming up, we'll talk about what Syracuse really needs going forward in this offseason. So stick with me here on Locked On Syracuse. With the addition of Tyler Betsey, Syracuse basketball now has 12 players under scholarship for this upcoming 2025-26 season. And actually, that 12-player total matches what Syracuse had a year ago. But there's a catch to it. A year ago, the NCAA only permitted 13 players under scholarship. This year, it's 15 total players. So technically speaking, Syracuse basketball has 3 more open scholarships that they can use. Now, they don't have to fill all 15. As we saw last year, there were 13 available. They only used 12. So maybe they could be done. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is their final move. I doubt it. Chances are they will at least add 1 or 2 more players this offseason, whether it's someone from overseas, maybe someone from the JUCO route, maybe there's still someone available in the transfer portal they like, or maybe there's someone available still in the high school recruiting class. Who knows, right? But chances are Syracuse will add 1 or 2 more players, possibly fill out all 15 scholarships. When I look at Syracuse, okay, what they are really missing is certainty on the roster. See, there are avenues where you can see Syracuse basketball being really good. There are. But there's just so many question marks on this team. Syracuse has about 4 players on its roster that you can really bank on this upcoming year. I think you can bank on Donnie Freeman. I think that's a safe bet. JJ Starling is a safe bet. You know he'll be good. Nathan George from Georgia Tech, that transfer. That was a big time addition for Syracuse basketball. He was one of the better point guards available this offseason. He averaged 12 and 7 a year ago. He led the ACC in assists. Like, you can bank on him being really good. And Nate Kingz. I don't know if he'll shoot 45% from the three-point line this upcoming year, but I think you can rely on him being a really productive three-point shooter for Syracuse next year. But after that, after those four players, Donnie Freeman, J.J. Starling, Nathan George, Nate Kingz, there are too many ifs, too many chances, too many question marks on Syracuse's roster. Will the true freshman be really productive right away? It's not about whether or not Sadiq White, Kyan Anthony, Luke Fennell, Aaron Womack are going to be really good in 2027 or 2028. It's about this upcoming season. It's make or break. They have to make the NCAA tournament or everyone is fired. And that likely means the entire roster is gone too. So how good are the true freshmen going to be right away for Syracuse basketball? Tyler Betsey, the main topic of today's show. Is he going to develop? Is he going to play like a recent top 50 high school recruit in the country? How big of a jump does he take? Because if he takes a big jump, that's huge for Syracuse basketball. If he doesn't, this move doesn't really move the needle at all for the Orange. Can William Kyle become a capable starting center in the ACC? We know he's probably going to start, at least on paper, but will he actually be capable? Can he be average? Maybe. It's possible. He was really good at South Dakota State. Less so at UCLA. So who is he going to be? Is he going to be the South Dakota State version or is he going to be the UCLA version? Is he going to be an elite shot blocker? I mean, he is an elite shot blocker. But is he going to be an all-around great defender? There are question marks there. So it's a lot of question marks on a team that really is make or break this upcoming season. And with that being said, the transfer portal is pretty thin right now. There just is not a lot out there that you can really bank on as far as production-wise. You're really not going to get much better than Tyler Betsey at this point. I mean, there are elite players that are technically available in the transfer portal, but they're mostly testing the NBA draft waters. And even if guys like Darian Williams and Jameer Watkins decide to stay in school and not go to the NBA, I think it's highly unlikely that Syracuse lands one of those two players. If they were to land one of those two players, well, I'm picking Syracuse to make the NCAA tournament easily. I mean, they would just have too much at that point for you to sit here and say there would be enough clarity on the roster, enough certainty, enough proven production to where they're a tournament team if you add one of those two players. But I don't think they will. And there aren't too many difference makers really out there anymore in the transfer portal. So I'm not really expecting, as far as what's next, I'm not expecting any more big moves for Syracuse basketball. Is Syracuse basketball a better team than they were last season? I do think on paper, they're better than a year ago. But that's also not saying much. Last year, Syracuse basketball won 13 regular season games. They went 13-18 for the regular season. I could easily see Syracuse flipping that, going 18-13 instead. But as we saw a couple years ago when they went 20-11 in the regular season, they didn't even really sniff the NCAA tournament. They needed to do a lot more on their resume to get into that tournament consideration. Then they go to the ACC tournament and they lose right away to NC State, who lo and behold goes to the Final Four. So even 18-13, if they flip that total that they had a year ago, is likely not enough to make the NCAA tournament. What do you think? Is Syracuse basketball an NCAA tournament team? Do you really believe in this team? Do you believe in this roster? Do you believe in this coaching staff? That's another big question mark. Can Adrian Autry and his staff get the most out of the players on the roster? Comment your thoughts in the comment section below. The way I see it, there are just too many questions. They need the true freshman to probably be really good right away. And they're probably going to need at least two of the following players to take a significant step forward, whether it's Ibrahim Suare or William Kyle or Tyler Betsey, for that matter. I think it's a perfect segue into the episodes that are coming up later on here on Locked On Syracuse. I think we're going to do two parts reacting to the State of the Union address by Syracuse head coach Adrian Autry and general manager Alex Klein. We'll listen and react to some of their big quotes. I think it could be two parts. Those podcasts will likely be Monday and Tuesday. My plan is to take Sunday, May 4th off. Thank you for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen today. For your second listen, you can check out the Locked On Portal show regarding Locked On College, regarding football, of course. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. You can be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. You can find the Portal show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Folks, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this podcast, be sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoy the podcast, be sure to hit subscribe. Tell all your friends about Locked On Syracuse. It helps the channel grow and reaches all Syracuse Orange fans. And of course, a lot of breaking news, especially with Syracuse football over the past couple of days. So if you don't want to miss anything here on Locked On Syracuse, I highly recommend you hit that bell button so you turn on those notifications so you know right away when I am dropping the next podcast. And I will see you all again soon.